Welcome back to Equal Planet. Today we're joined by Suzanne McCormick, the first woman to lead the National YMCA, where she serves as president and CEO, engages more than 17 million members each year, including over 16 million young people. Suzanne brings over 3 decades of nonprofit leadership experience to her role. Before joining the Y, she served as U.S. President for the United Way worldwide, helping 1,100 United Ways build more resilient and inclusive communities. She previously led a few local United Way chapters, championing initiatives to create a more equal society and drive community impact. Recognized as one of Forbes 50 over 50 in impact and a multiple-time honoree of the nonprofit Times Power and Influence Top 50, Suzanne also serves on the boards of Independent Sector and the National Fitness Foundation. She holds a political science degree from Duke University and is a proud alumna of Peace Corps. We are honored to have Suzanne here to explore how... Sweet. So I have about 20 minutes with Miss Suzanne McCormick. I'm so lucky. I'll do another intro in the beginning, but I'll have Miss McCormick introduce herself.
Well, Durga, it's so great to be with you. I'm Suzanne McCormick, and I have the privilege of serving as the president and CEO of the YMCA of the USA. We're headquartered out of Chicago, which is where I'm joining you from today. And I'm just really excited to be here with you.
Well, I'm so lucky. I got to meet Suzanne at a conference in Duke where she gave the most eloquent speech, and here we are again. So, to start out, we'll just jump right in. And you have grown from very grassroots work to continue to some of the highest levels in this organization where you are making immense impact as you have been doing for years. And one thing that I know grounds you are your ethics of service. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, you've heard some of my story, and like I found, I've always believed my path in life has been service, and those have been grounded in, it's really like the ethics of the why are very similar to what I've always considered my personal ethics and or ethics or values. And those are caring, honesty, respect, responsibility, and the other one. So those are the core values that guide the why that I think are central ethics of my service. And I would add fairness. So maybe equity, fairness, that, all people deserve an opportunity to be treated with compassion and respect. And that's really what drives me to want to serve, has always driven me to want to serve.
Sweet. And that's why we're creating this together. We want so many people to hear your voice and know that there are people rooting for those who don't have as much as the most privileged because we're not everybody's going to be able to have this conversation. So, in that vein, like, what are some key moments where you solidified some of these values?
I have one memory well, a couple memories that really stick out for me. I mean, probably like you or many of us, I got those values from my parents and both my parents, but uh, I reflect a lot on how my father influenced me through his own ethics and his own service, and uh, his willingness to, when he saw something that he didn't think was right, that instead of walking away from it, he moved into it. And the one example that really stands out for me is at the end of my junior high, so that would have been whatever, eighth grade. My parents were not happy with the school system where I grew up and felt like the schools were failing and that there was a lack of leadership, and so much so that they were really considering sending me to a private school. and not participating anymore in public school. And after a lot of, discernment, my father decided that that was not the right thing to do, that sending me to private school was not like fixing a problem. And it was really the problem of fairness, of like a school system that's going to be able to deliver for in a fair way for all kids. And so instead of sending me to private school, he decided to run for the Board of Education. And he was elected, and for many years, he served as the chair of the Board of Education, really helped overhaul the public school system in my community. And that taught me that, if you see something, then you you should be compelled to take action on it if you think something's not right or something's not fair. And that was always the advice my father would give to me. He's like, if you don't like it, then change it. Like it's you can try to change anything that you don't think is right or fair for people. So it was a really great lesson.
That's so beautiful. And I wish every parent who felt that compulsion, right, to just send somebody to like this more privatized, it's harder for the family. But no, he said, I'm going to spend my time fighting. And that's a beautiful origin story. And I'm sure you have many other layers to that too. And to fight, you have spent a lot of your career on these partnerships, really honing in on them. You have some exciting ones coming up that we're gonna, wait for the reveal. And how can we, people in nonprofits, people in the government, people in the private sector who care about the ideals you mentioned, how can we focus on collaboration over infighting or replication?
I think first and foremost, we have to show up with humility and a recognition that while we may be really good at what we do as individuals, as leaders, or our organizations might be really good at what they do, you have to show up with a belief that you can be better with someone else or with another organization. Like you have to be able to recognize that in leveraging the strengths and assets of others, you yourself, your organization will be more effective. And that starts with humility. And that's hard for some people because they sometimes their ego gets in the way and sort of compels them, well, I have to prove that I'm the best. And you can be the best with someone else being the best as well. And so for me, it all starts with humility. The other thing too, Durga, is always listening for connecting opportunities. Like I do feel like that's one of the things that comes naturally to me. I'll be in a conversation just in someone's personal life or in leading my organization. When I meet someone or hear what they're doing, it's hard for me not to hear like a connection point. And once I hear it, like I want to understand it more. I want to know as if we can connect on that, like how can we help each other? So I think it's humility and then listening for connections that lead to opportunities.
I love that. And it really goes against, I feel like, what I've been taught in as a woman, which is to, fight for your own right to have something. But as we support each other, that's when abundance can happen for all of us. And in your work, you taking this mindset now engage millions of people in the US. What do you see as the opportunity here for like systemic change in this in your work, because you're helping so many people on a day-to-day basis?
I am so excited about our potential and our future in this moment in time because something that is magical about the Y and has always been magical about the Y is that people come and they feel like they're in a safe place and they can make friends and they feel like they are seen and they are heard and they feel like they are belong and they belong. And that happens often without us even being intentional about it. At this moment in time where I do feel like there is so much division. People are tired of the divide. There's an epidemic of loneliness, of people feeling like they're not connected. I am so excited about the possibility is of if we at the Y really put more intentionality into that, how we help people connect and create that sense of belonging, that we'll be able to have even more abundant impact on how we help people connect with each other and connect to their communities. And so that's really going to be a focus and a framework that we're going to elevate over a next 10-year period, because we want, I often people will tell me what the Y has done for them individually, and I love to hear that. But 10 years from now, I want people to not only talk about what the Y did for them or did for their mother or their father or their child, but that what it did, what the Y did to help their communities come together, and create cohesion at a time in our society where I think everyone has to admit, no matter like what your political views are, is that we're a pretty divided country right now, and we need some places where we can feel united. And that's, I want the Y to be the leader in that.
I love the spirit that you have and this light that you're bringing to your organization, to the people you meet, and it's so special. And I'm wondering what, this is a question I was really excited about. What do you see as your place as like the first woman to ever lead the National Y?
I think, I think, I think the organization needed some female energy, honestly. I think this, I do think women, I don't want to stereotype us, but I think we have a tendency to be more collaborative, to be more empathetic, to be more um, nurturing. And I think society needs nurturing leadership now. And the fact that I can bring that style to my organization, I think is makes us stronger in this moment of time when society needs us. The counter side of that though is sometimes that style that is a little bit more nurturing, more collaborative. When you look at old models of leadership, authoritarian, dictatorship, those kinds of leadership styles, some people would see my style as weak, but I always find that fascinating and a little humorous, because it they underestimate that kind of leadership style, because they equate it with weakness and the inability to make hard decisions, which is so not true. And that's why it's fun to surprise them sometimes.
Yeah, I love that answer. And I'm wondering if you have any advice or any thoughts for young women who are feeling that glass ceiling that we have to conform to this masculine or authoritarian regime or company that we're in order to be heard to get promoted. What would you say to that?
I would say don't do it. I mean, you can still be direct and decisive, but do it in a way that doesn't have like that harsh masculine stereotypical edge that we of like that leadership style that we used to like. It's the only thing we saw as leaders were people who would scream at you or tell you you did a bad job. Like that's not good leadership. And so just believe that you can bring your true self and still demonstrate decisiveness and good decision making and strength. It's it is totally possible. Don't compromise that, I would say, please, because I think the world needs more collaborative, empathetic leaders.
Sweet. And that's even like a call to some of our more masculine allies to lean into that energy that's nurturing and kind and calls people in instead of calling people out.
Yes.
And hey, I think we can all learn from it. And to our next, we have just a few more minutes here. And first, congratulations on being named 50 over 50 by Forbes in the impact category. That's huge. I think that's anybody in the nonprofit world's dream, right? Forbes, yeah, hello. So I'm so happy that you got to have that. And I'm curious, is there an initiative that you saw as really impactful and it can be seen as perhaps an example to others in service?
I think the work that I'm most proud of, that I hope is why I've been recognized. It has a lot to do with what we've been talking about. And it is that I think throughout my career, I have been able to build collaborative coalitions of diverse organizations that that have come together around a common issue. And the ability to lead in that space, again, anchoring to some of the things I said, with humility and empathy, but also with strength and decisiveness. Um, that collaborative work, doing it in when I was in Tampa and helping bring together different organizations to form a family resource center in an underserved neighborhood. We did that in multiple places. The ability to bring people together and excite them around an initiative, that's the work that I'm most proud of. It's the work that sometimes takes the most time and is can be quite difficult because you're having to navigate and influence and um, pull together stakeholders with divergent views sometimes. That's the work that I'm most proud of. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a tip you have for really focusing on what brings us together versus what divides us? Because there's so much more of that good stuff out there.
Yeah. I think so much of it is contingent on people spending time together and sharing their stories. And because when you share your story, you share some vulnerability that people then start to trust you. And I think like the things that unite us are trust and a belief that we have something in common. And I think we've sort of lost in some ways the art of engaging and spending time with people. And that is, I think, what we need more of. Because when we do that, it's hard not to see the human in someone, even if they're very different than you. If you spend some time understanding their story and giving them an opportunity to understand your story, that's what I hope for all of us. More of that. I think we need more of that. And that's what creates connectivity.
1000%. And I'm curious about what gives you a hope for the future. Like, what positive change are you excited about in the years to come that can be a light for our generation, as things look a little gloomy?
Well, Durga, I will tell you what gives me the most hope is your generation and getting to be in conversations with you and other young people. One of my favorite programs that we have at the Y is called Youth in Government, and it teaches civic engagement. And it's whenever I get to spend time with our usually middle school students or high school students who are participating in this program, that's what gives me hope because it teaches them about public service, it teaches them about the legislative process, government. They come into it sometimes like with defined political views, but everything they do is anchored through our core values of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. So while they may have different views, they put our core values at the center of their engagement with each other. And as a result, while they might disagree, they're they're respectful of each other. And that's what gives me hope because I see in them our future leaders and I see them learning a different way to act and engage than what they're currently seeing modeled by adults right now. And despite that, they're still anchored to those core values. So that's the stuff that gives me hope.
That's so sweet to hear. And I
It's
hope
a little cliche like the next generation, but it is, but when I spend time with young people, they feed my soul.
I think the privilege I have and like people who interact with you have is yes, we're different generations, and that means we can see people before us fighting, people before us who've done the work. It's not us just spawning and making the world better. It's because we get to learn from people who uplift us like yourself, and it wouldn't be possible without you. So we're all very lucky.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're at time, so I just want to say a huge thank you. I think everybody who listens to this is going to learn something and going to get to see and meet you, hear your voice and learn a little bit about you. And I'm so grateful to elevate your story in any way. So thank you.
Thank you, Durga. And I loved meeting you, and I look forward to continuing to connect and watching your leadership grow. And I can't wait to see the impact you have as well.
This episode was co-produced by videographer Maxwell Simbua and myself. Thank you for joining us. And I'm deeply grateful to everyone who made this podcast possible. Special thanks to Devin Henry and my parents and family, Sri Srinivasan, Rupani Krishnan, and my twin brother Krishna for their listening help. The one who truly made invaluable contributions to the creation of this was my podcasting professor, Allison Jones. I learned invaluable audio skills from workshops at Duke's DeWitt Wallace Center, led by professors Barry Yeoman and Stephen Buckley and NPR's Emily Feng. Thank you all for your support and wisdom. And a huge thank you to Professor Diane Weddington, who's helping me do a deep dive into the policy underpinnings of an equal planet. If you'd like to join our team or send in suggestions, fill out the form in the show notes or reach out to me at dms137@duke.edu. Thank you.